Welcome to Between Two Molars, an open conversation of the wins, setbacks, and messy middle of business ownership. A new kind of podcast that pulls back the curtain. No fluff, real conversations, real lessons, and the real life of running an orthodontic practice. So sit back between two molars and let's get into it. Welcome to Between Two Molars, the space where real conversations happen.
I'm Diana Weaver.
And I'm Michelle Shimmin. Together, we're diving into the real life challenges, wisdom, and wins from inside orthodontic practices.
So grab your coffee, get comfortable. Let's talk Between Two Molars.
So these are conversations and topics that you and I have every day, all day. And we both had a desire to just bring these topics to light because I see so much value in doctors, team members, understanding the importance of it and understanding really how they can bring that content into their practices to just grow and improve.
I'm excited about giving everybody the inside scoop.
Inside scoop. Well, and we got really excited about Between Two Molars because two award-winning consultants and little riff off of, Between Two Ferns. I don't think I can be that funny.
I might be able to be that funny. I don't know.
But our first topic today that we were pretty excited about was a topic that I feel really strongly about, and it's so overlooked, the necessity and the importance of it when we talk about leadership and management in the need to bring emotional intelligence to that topic and to the table.
So can you tell us a little bit about what emotional intelligence is?
Yeah, great. So there are really 5 pieces to emotional intelligence, but I'll talk about the most important ones I feel personally. So the first one is self-awareness, an awareness of ourself. The second one is self-regulation. So I kind of really see that as so often with interactions in the offices about how do we regulate our responses to a situation, to a person, to a challenge. The third one is going to be a social awareness.
That one's my favorite.
The social awareness part of it.
Uh-huh.
Well, tell me more about that.
So I love the social awareness because I think that you can have the self-regulation and the self-management part, but if you're not aware of how you're projecting all of those out to everybody else, you can really fail oftentimes in that leadership role.
Well, an emotional intelligence, when brought into a management and a leadership style, really can facilitate and bring trust, psychological safety, and just increase the overall culture of health within a team and within a practice.
And isn't that what every team wants? They want to feel safe. They want to feel like they can trust the doctor, that they can trust their office manager. They want that peace of mind that the decisions that they make are going to be valued and brought to life.
Right.
We want leaders in our practice, right? We don't want a bunch of followers. We want to cultivate that leadership piece of it.
I would actually venture to say that this part is the foundation of a strong team, a successful team. You know, if you can pick apart the practices that you see have strong cultures, strong leadership, they have effective delegation, and most importantly, a high level of accountability. It starts with that strong foundation, and we want cultural health and emotional intelligence brought to that communication, brought to the leadership, brought to that management style, I feel is that strongest part of the recipe.
Well, and I think that the level of humility that office managers and doctors can portray to their team, there's got to be some sort of vulnerability when they're coaching and when they're training and when they're communicating. Goes back to that safety.
I think 100%. One of our core values at Shimmin Consulting is humility. And I do feel that it's important to say bringing humility into your everyday life and daily interactions with your team does not abdicate expertise or authority.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? I think that if people look at themselves as being vulnerable, it is going to take them off of that pedestal of authority, if you will. So think about when you have a very strong, effective leader in a practice, they have a strong sense of humility. They don't have that arrogance or that insecurity.
Insecurity. That's a good, you're right.
I think insecurity brings that arrogance. That's what I see when I am working with team members and with doctors who are struggling with the culture in their practice. I really hope to influence a removal of that arrogance and to develop confidence, to empower the team so that they feel that safety to bring that humility.
So that goes back, I think that goes back to your first two things that you were saying.
Right.
You're self-aware and then you're self-regulating, right? So you've got to be aware and be able to self-reflect in order to pivot and communicate differently with your teams.
Yep. The one key advice that I like to bring into that scenario is to not be afraid to ask for time. Ask for time to process something. If you are facing a challenging situation, if somebody brings up a topic or a conversation that needs to be addressed, listen actively. We talk a lot about active listening.
Yeah, we do.
And the importance of bringing that into management and leadership and inter-office interactions, if you will. But, I'm going to touch on interactive listening here, but it's, most of us listen to respond.
Yeah, we do.
As opposed to, listening to understand.
Right.
So take that opportunity within your self-awareness to listen to understand the person, the situation. And then when you move over to that self-regulation, take a moment to process. And don't be afraid to ask for time to process. You don't have to react immediately. And in fact, when we react quickly and instinctively, we actually are less effective and can do more damage. So have that self-regulation that you can ask for a moment to process. I'll often say, can I chew on that for a moment? And then the important piece of it is to designate a time that you will revisit this conversation or that you'll commit to having the answer or the solution.
And that time isn't later in the day, right?
No. Control the perception.
Right.
There's a lot of interpretation in the words that we use. And in controlling that, you say when you can revisit, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Can I have a moment to process? And can we revisit this today at 3:00 or tomorrow at lunchtime? And then commit to that. That's what's important as well.
I think the active listening, kind of going back and piggybacking on that, is also body language. So we're not listening to respond, we're listening to actively understand. Part of that understanding is reading the body language. What are those nonverbal cues that you can see also?
The facial expressions.
The facial expressions.
That goes to your favorite part of the social awareness because it's reading the room. And it is recognizing the team's energy, understanding what that energy is before it becomes problematic.
And how hard is it to self-regulate? I mean,
that's hard.
We see frequently, I think, the reactiveness of individuals, team members, doctors, and office managers. I think everybody has that tendency to want to speak their mind and want to react, and having that social awareness, that self-regulation to pull it back and go back to, can I have a moment to chew on this? Let me think about this. Let me process this a little bit.
That's a very, very powerful statement in your first step of self-regulating. Interesting for you and I to be talking about this. We're two very driven, goal-oriented business owners. And I think when we really get into the busyness of every day, when we really get into the stressors, right? I think that's what our intuition can and instinctive reactions can really surface quickly.
I thought you were going to talk about the email from the last time we were together, and when you opened up the thing in your laptop and you said, Diana, I cannot believe.
I wasn't going to. You helped me self-regulate. You helped me self-regulate. And sometimes it's just a little trigger sentence on our team, we have a lot of these trigger sentences that just help us remember. We've done a lot of this training together as a team, and it's something that we've all committed to. So it's great to bring these goals to your team. Give some framework to your team development, to your business meetings as well, and then get these agreements from team members, because it makes it really easy and safe to have those triggering statements. Now, I guess the word triggering sounds a little negative.
I think so too.
Friendly reminders.
Yes.
What's a different phrase we can say? Friendly reminders on, like you said, my instinct. We were traveling. We had deadlines. We both had emails that were exploding. And an email I opened up, my instinct was to get triggered. And your friendly reminder.
My friendly reminder
helped me self-regulate. And actually, when you just see it so much clearer, when you take a moment, you just process a little bit, you control some of the other outside factors, and then you can go very purposeful when you address it. I think that is so much more effective in what we see in practices every day.
Well, and I celebrate you for taking a moment
Thank
to
you.
pause.
Thank you for helping
and
me.
self-reflect and then go on.
See, team members can help you always be your best version of yourself. And I feel strongly that is the importance of creating a safe environment in the offices. We run coaching sessions every hour of every day. We're on coaching sessions, or we're on stage and coaching. And it's interesting how I feel this is such a common thread in most struggles in practices. If you can go back to, what causes the hiccups, what causes the speed bumps, this is a common thread in every topic. And so I think it's important to understand how mastering and continually growing and improving with your emotional intelligence individually and as a team really allows your team to elevate its ability. Of course, we talk a lot about internal processes and how to serve our patients better, how to be more patient-centered, but ultimately how the team interacts together, how the team communicates, how they like each other, reflects to patients. That is an ultimate factor that patients are going to feel and experience.
Well, because if you're a happy team, that's that happiness, that excitement, that's all going to portray out.
That's what you exude.
Right. That's what you exude. That's what your patients are going to experience. And that's all we want at the end of the day is a great patient experience, right?
Yeah. So this is, I want to summarize a little bit the 4, but then empathy comes in, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So just for our friends joining us, when we talk about emotional intelligence, and we challenge you to dive into this deeper, reach out to us. We'd love to provide you some resources. But we've got self-awareness. So understanding how I'm going to react immediately in a situation. Self-regulation. So how can I control my initial responses and be purposeful with it? And then we have your favorite.
Social awareness.
Social awareness, being able to read the room, understanding the situation around us. And then we have social awareness and relationship regulation. And so how can we manage the relationships around us after reading the room and recognizing the social awareness? So that relationship management is important as well. And it goes back to the book. We like the book, The 4 Agreements.
I love those.
We talk a lot about that, and you can tie this in with your emotional intelligence staff meeting. But one of the agreements is what others do has nothing to do with you. And so to be able to recognize that in your relationship management, it's easy to bring empathy. And the 5th one is empathy. And so when we talk about, the skill of mastering the first 4 and then being able to bring empathy into our management and into our leadership, to lead with clarity, to lead with empathy, because that is ultimately the formula that drives performance. So when we talk about, we often get doctors calling us and reaching out because of the struggles and the challenges within their team. And this is a solid foundation to really build a team that performs.
And that empathy is putting yourself in the other person's shoes, seeing it through their lens, understanding kind of what they're going through to be able to change some of your own behaviors. Right. Your own, I can't control that other person, but I can control myself. I can change my own, responses, my own way that I'm managing and handling things. And I think that that's key. The empathy part is key to, it's the glue that holds everything together, maybe.
And we train a lot on influence, whether we are training on psychological sales and influence in the exam room. We train a lot on influence, and influence comes in there. Like you said, we don't have control over other people's actions or responses, but we do have influence over a situation. And I feel that our responses can be really powerful in that influence of a situation.
Well, and going back to your 4 agreements that we had talked about just a second ago, being impeccable with your words is extremely important, because if you aren't thinking about the words that are coming out of your mouth and what that reaction and response, how that's going to influence, positive or negative, you don't get the outcome that you're looking for.
Right. Have you ever been in an office where you'll get a team member that comes in, puts their bag in their locker, goes straight to their desk, puts their head down and starts working?
Mm-hmm. And doesn't even say hi.
Doesn't say good morning, doesn't say hello. It goes back to, treat others how you want to be treated, and it's a culture. What kind of a culture do you want to be a part of? Mm-hmm. So, leadership is leading by example and serving others outside of your position, inviting others on a journey. So do we want a journey of just, individualism and, an uncomfortable scenario that our patients are going to walk into? Or do we want to bring joy and happiness to our everyday environment?
Right. And I'm going to challenge actually the team members that are experiencing that teammate that comes in and just puts their head down and goes straight to work without saying good morning. What are you doing to change that situation either?
Correct.
Because in that level of emotional intelligence and that social awareness, I have the ability to give somebody my smile, to give somebody my joy, to give somebody my positivity, and maybe that turns their perspective around a little bit.
Can influence that situation. Right. I think that it does start with the doctors. I'm going to be real here. If we get a doctor that just walks in the back door and heads back into their office and doesn't walk through the office to say good morning to the team members, leadership starts with the doctors as well. So doctors, if you want to have a strong, happy, enjoyable, joyful environment and culture, show up that way. Show up as your best self and lead by example to the team members of what you're going to expect on your team.
And even a simple thank you. Thanks for your work at the end of the day.
People think that language of appreciation is all about money.
It's not.
And bonuses.
Oh, that's a different podcast.
That's a whole different podcast.
Let's add that to our list. But
it's true. Most doctors that I talk to think that the staff want more money, more bonuses. Now, true. But that's, I believe, a reciprocal response. And if they feel valued and appreciated, even through words of appreciation and words of affirmation, it goes so far to being able to elevate what the team members bring to the table every day. So I know we're talking a lot about emotional intelligence in leadership and in management and the importance of that. And there are so many different sidetracks that we could go down with it. But this is where I was talking about. This is threaded throughout every aspect of a practice. If we bring in a new modality or a new system or process that we want our team to buy into and influence our patients with, we have to be able to have effective communication, and we have to be able to bring emotional intelligence to our communication and influence. A lot of doctors will say, especially coming off of event season, right? We're just coming off of a really busy event season, and, doctors will find a great service or product or modality that they're all excited about, and they'll bring back into the practice, and they'll say, we're going to now incorporate this, and then they'll wonder why it doesn't work.
Right.
And so there's a whole process behind the why of what you're deciding to bring into your practice to serve your patients, and how it serves your team as well, to be able to educate your team and bring that influence to your patients, because how your team thinks and feels about anything
is all portrayed out to the patients.
That's what they're going to exude to your patients. So lead with clarity, lead with empathy. That's the ultimate formula to your team's performance.
It's your glue.
It's your glue. And really understand the value of improving your own emotional intelligence, and not thinking that it's everybody else's problem. Self-reflect, take a look and see, those teams that cycle through a lot of team members. What is the common denominator here? And again, I hear every single day it's about money.
It's not.
I challenge that. It is not about the money. It's about the environment. It's about the value that each team member feels. It's about clarity and the expectations for their roles. It's about a path of opportunity and growth. We know this generation is seeking that. There's a lot behind it that's not about just simply paying the team more.
Because people want to be recognized for their hard work. They, like me, want that appreciation value, right? That language of appreciation is important. So speaking in their language, having the emotional intelligence to speak in their language is important.
That's another really good book. 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. Yeah, that's understanding what your team values in that, and each team member is different. I have 2 kids. Both of my kids are very, very different with their language of appreciation and love. So it's good to be aware of it and to be able to understand and pivot it. And for the doctors that don't have that strength, bring somebody alongside you that does have that strength and bring that value, so that you can both together enhance what you're delivering to the team and what you're expecting out of your team. So the 5, emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation,
self-management,
social awareness, relationship management,
and the glue, empathy.
So we're pretty excited to be here with you with these really valuable and important topics. We have a list of these topics, again, that we talk about and coach through every single day, all day, and we can't wait to bring that to light with you. So thanks for joining us Between Two Molars. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep smiling.
And make sure to post your comments if you liked it, if you had any questions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks for being with us.